Yo, what is going on, guys? Hayzink here. Welcome back to the channel for another Dislyte video. I know I've not put out a Dislyte video for the last couple of days. It's because I've been doing a little bit of research into this and I've been looking at various different things, and really it's time that I speak up and talk about how much of a scam I actually think some of the things are that's happening in this game right now. Now, there's a couple of things I want to talk about in this video, but first of all, I do want to talk about the current banner. Everything really is going to revolve around all the banners, not specifically just this current banner, but there does seem to be something going on with this current banner that is a little bit, I want to say sus, is probably the only way to put this out there. Now, I've been speaking to other creators, I've spoken to Zox about this, and I think he's already put a video out talking about this. He should have it out today. I've spoken to other content creators that are in my Discord. I've also spoken to other players. I've looked at other players' pools, and everyone seems to be having the same experience, and that is the fact that there does seem to be some sort of a shadow rate up in effect, okay? Now, what I mean by a shadow rate up is, if you look at this banner, it is implied that you have a 10% chance to pull Ahmed. Now, we'll go back to that. That in itself is something else we need to discuss. But you should have the highest chance of pulling Ahmed, and it's literally not presented in any other way other than all the other legendary characters will have an equal chance to pull, okay? Now, it doesn't speak at all about your 4-star characters, but what we've been seeing in pulls is frankly a startling amount of people pulling the same characters, okay? So I'm talking about on legendary summons, you're pulling the likes of, so many people are pulling Biodonnas, pulling Hydes, also pulling Queen Mother. Those three seem to be the standout units that people keep seeming to be pulling. I pulled a Queen Mother. I've seen Zox pulling Queen Mothers. He's been pulling Biodonnas. People in my Discord have been pulling Queen Mothers, been pulling Hydes. It just seems to be a consistency with the amount of people pulling the exact same units that would suggest that these units have a rate up on them, okay? Now, the same thing goes for 4-star characters. You're getting a lot of people who are getting similar type of pulls. It seems to be, the rate ups seem to be on the twins. You're getting a lot of pulls of the twins. You're seeing them quite a lot. Me myself, apart from pulling Arcana, like a lot. Again, I'm seeing Arcana being pulled a lot on summons, and I'm talking about large batches of summons, not just one or two people. I'm talking about like hundreds of pulls. People are pulling the same units over and over again. I'm also seeing lots of pulls of, I forget the guy's name, this dude here. Me personally, I literally pulled 2 copies of this guy in the same multi back to back. I've pulled him multiple times before that as well in the same kind of summoning streak. So it is pretty obvious that they have put rate up onto some characters and not onto other characters, okay? Now, there is a specific way they should actually present their rates if they are going to do that. And the reason for that is, as a customer, as someone who is either spending money on their game or spending time on their game, you should be able to make a choice if you want to summon on a banner based on the rates of pulling certain characters, okay? Now, what I mean by that is, if you know there's a character that you want on a banner, however there's multiple characters that you do not want on that banner that have got a higher chance of being pulled, you quite often would decide you do not want to pull on that banner, okay? I'm going to show you a visual example of what I'm talking about. I'm going to use 2 other games for this, who present their rates in a way that they realistically should be presented, and this is probably what people are used to seeing when they look at rates, okay? Now, the first one I'm going to show you is going to be the Sky RPG. I realise that right now it's just going to completely obscure the picture, but I am going to fix it. So if we look here just now, you'll see that when you get a new banner, obviously you can see that your characters have got different rate percentages, okay? So you can see that the main featured unit on the banner has got a higher rate, but you can also see that there's a secondary unit that's got a rate up, okay? Now, that would mean that if you had decided, well, you know what, I do not want to risk getting that other character who has a rate up, then you would choose to skip this banner, okay? Because even though you might want the new unit, you say to yourself, I'm going to wait till another time when there's a different banner, when maybe I can just pick that unit up when they've got a rate rate up on it, okay? Now this is kind of normal for gacha titles to present their rates like this. In fact, it's the way that they're supposed to be presented. I'm actually very unsure about why Dislyte present their rates in the way that they do. Another example of that would be this game here, which is Artery Fusion. If you look, you can see the same thing. You've got the new unit at the top with a higher rate, which is to be expected. Then you can see all the other units that are on the banner and what rate you have of pulling those units specifically. So if you can see anything there that you don't like, that doesn't line up with your expectations, you can decide, I don't want to summon on this banner, okay? Now, Dislyte are not doing that. Dislyte are not presenting their rates in a way that they should be presented, quite simply. I mean, that actually brings me back to the initial point. If you look at this banner, I have shown this to multiple gacha players, okay? People who play lots of different gacha games, but specifically they don't play Dislyte. And I've asked them straight up, looking at this image, what rate do you have to pull that character? The answer that every single one of them delivers is 10%, okay? Because that is what it's saying on the screen. It is saying you have a 10% chance. It is not saying if you pull a legendary character, there is a 10% chance it's Ahmed. That is not what it's saying. Now, yes, we may understand that's what it is, because obviously we've looked into it and we understand the rates, but that is not what they are advertising. On this image, if you look at it, there's nothing at all here that says if you summon this character or on this banner, you have a 10% chance of summoning Ahmed if it is a legendary character. It does not say that. It simply says you have an elevated chance of 10% of pulling Ahmed, which is blatantly false advertising. Now, I do not really understand why it's taking me this long to call this out, because I did notice it on the Ollie banner and I did think to myself, you know, this isn't really right. The way it's worded is very misleading. There is people who 100% will go on to this banner and they will think they have a 10% chance, okay? Now, even if people say, oh well, if you click the eye, you can see more information, okay, I agree with you. However, if that's the case, next to that 10%, they should have like a star, an asterisk, something that makes you be aware that that 10% is not exactly the way it's presented. There's more information to that. And at that point, you would go away, you would click the eye, and then you would read that the chance of getting this particular Esper out of all legendary Espers starts at 10%. Now, even there, that wording is not actually all that clear. It's not saying to you that you only have a 1% chance of pulling a legendary, and if that legendary so happens to be Ahmed, it's because you've got the 10% rate up, okay? It's not being clear with its rates. It's not. I mean, I don't care how much you want to come on and defend Dislyte or whatever, or say, oh man, it's gacha, what do you expect? The way that they are presenting this is not right. It's not. And I personally I don't think they should be allowed to do this. I really don't. I have raised this, by the way. I've actually said to them that I do not think this is right. I don't think you should be doing it in this way. It's very misleading. It can be perceived as being deceiving. In fact, if I'm being completely honest, it is deceiving. It is. There's no if, buts or maybes about it. That image right there is deceiving because it is making you believe you have more of a chance of something than you actually have, okay? And the worst part is, if you have to just take it at face value and go, okay, that's false advertising, let's move past that. We know that you've got a 1% chance of pulling a legendary, but 10% of the time it'll be Ahmed, okay? You think that that's 10% and then all of the other units have a split even percentage. Based on what we can see with like this potential shadow rate up that does look like it's in effect, if there is other units like Biodina, Hyde, Queen Mother, if they're sitting at a rate of like 7, 8, 9%, it still means that you are going to have a very hard time in pulling Ahmed, because a lot of the time these units are still going to come up a lot more often, okay, than they would have if it was just a flat rate. If it was 10% versus, I don't even know how many legendaries we've got, let's just say, just for argument's sake, let's say we've got 20, okay? So if it was 10% on Ahmed and then the other 90% was split between the other 19 units, it would be like, what, 2% each or something, I don't even know, but anyway, it would be a very low percentage. But if they've taken a key number of those and they've boosted the rate on them, it means that instead of having one unit who's up here and the rest of them's odds are down here, so obviously you're going to hit this one far more often, you're looking at a system where you have one unit whose rates are here, but they've put a couple of units just below, so that when you are rolling, you have quite a high likelihood of hitting these units. And it's why we keep seeing the same units popping up all the time when people are doing their summons. So I don't really know how to tell them to fix their shit, to be honest. I feel like, one, they have to be more transparent with their rates. The two examples I showed you is how I feel like they should be presenting the rates on their banners. They should actually be telling you the odds you have to pull a character, not just hiding behind a flat rate. I feel like they should be more honest with how they're advertising, because, to be completely honest, I feel like if people were to pursue it, then Apple, Google, etc. would agree that this is false advertising. I mean, there is no if, buts or maybes about it. They are presenting the information in such a way as it can be perceived as being misleading. Overall, I just feel like Ahmed in this picture is absolutely right. If you look at him, he's throwing up an L sign as if to tell us we're all losers for summoning. And he's absolutely right, because this banner and how it's treated people is just being absolutely atrocious. In a lot of ways, I feel like it's worse than the Holly banner. And I feel like doing these little back end things like shadow rate ups, etc. would cause that to happen. So it's almost like they gave with one hand and they took away with the other. And it just seems to be Dislyte all over the back at the moment. Now, before people comment down below and say, Hayzink, you're always making negative videos and all the rest of it, feel free to make those comments, but do you know what? If people do not speak up about this, it does not change, okay? And there's far too many content creators in the world who are quite happy to ride on the back of having a potentially popular game. They don't want to sour the community. They basically don't want to dip into their own paycheck, so to speak. I'm not about that. I don't want you guys to basically get sucked into a game that's not treating you right, that is essentially trying to rip you off and con you. If Dislyte starts doing good things, I will praise them. I will praise them. But as it stands just now, there's just far too much bullshit going on and they have to sort it out. Anyway, peace.